Get rich in 2025, the rise of the ninth fire luck cycle. The heavens are fair. Over the next 20 years, a completely new group of people will be chosen by destiny. In every aspect, money-making, investing, career, life, and love, they will achieve what they desire with surprising ease. These are the people destined to advance, to accumulate resources and wealth. But on the flip side, those who used to do well in the past, have you felt things starting to fall apart around 5 years ago? That's because we're transitioning from the 8th luck cycle to the 9th. During this 5-year transition, starting from the US-China trade war in 2018, the pandemic in 2020, to the wars and disasters that followed, these weren't random events. They were wake-up calls. A warning that for the next 20 years, you must move carefully, protect what you have, and ride the trends instead of relying on personal strength alone. Welcome to Fortune Flow. Let me be clear, this isn't fear-mongering. The Jewish people have a wealth Bible called the Talmud. That book helped them build global financial empires. The Chinese, too, have profound cultural treasures, the I Ching, Book of Changes, and a mystical text called Tuesday Bay Tuesday. But most people don't read these texts. Why? Because over time they've been misused for fortune-telling or feng shui scams, so many fake gurus have cheapened their value. For example, I once bought a brand new house for my parents. A relative from my father's hometown invited an elderly woman who claimed to read the I Ching. She said the house had a murder in its past, despite the fact it was newly built. Worse, she somehow gave this conclusion without even knowing the address. My parents got so anxious they couldn't sleep. So I called in a master I truly trust, someone who really understands the I Ching. He came, adjusted our home layout, and that year, not only did I make much more money, but I also got deals on investment properties I previously couldn't afford. My rental income skyrocketed, giving me more stable passive income. The point is, it's not the books that are wrong, it's how people interpret them. Remember, don't blame your fate. Just because you have a good hand doesn't mean you'll play it well. Many with bad luck turn things around through understanding timing and fate. Every Lunar New Year, I revisit the I Ching and Tuesday Bay Tuesday. Most people only verify their insights after things happen, then say the books were right. But today, I'll reveal the cosmic direction of the next 20 years. I hope this reaches the right people who've supported me. Even if just 1 or 2 sentences help you, I'll be fulfilled. My channel is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs, investors, and wealth seekers build financial freedom. If that sounds like you, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. But first, you need to understand your own destiny. For instance, I was born in winter. My birth chart lacks fire, though fire is what I need to thrive. And the next 20 years will be ruled by fire, meaning I'm entering my golden era. That's why I'm going all in, ready to fight till the end. But if your chart clashes with fire, these next 2 decades could be risky if you charge ahead recklessly. You might lose everything, or worse, end up deep in debt. Instead, find people who do align with fire energy and collaborate with them. I'll explain more later. But if you, like me, benefit from fire, then why am I doing better than you? Because I knew to move south fire's direction, while maybe you stayed north, which is ruled by water. South equals fire. North equals water. East equals wood. West equals metal. Center equals earth. I do fire-related business. Maybe you're in a water-aligned job. That's why our results are different. Not because you're less capable. If I did your job in your location, I'd fail too. That's why knowing your elemental alignment is crucial. What if the fire cycle isn't favorable for you? Don't panic, there are ways to handle it. But stay with me till the end. Let's talk about Tuesday Bay 2, a book once banned in ancient times. Why? Because it was frighteningly accurate. Even if you knew the prophecies, you couldn't change their outcome. For example, during the Tang dynasty, it predicted that Wu Zetian would seize the throne. Emperor Taizong wanted to kill her to stop it, but was advised not to. Why? Because if Wu was killed, someone even worse would rise. Not only would the Tang royal family lose power, they'd face total extinction. Other predictions also came true, like Japan's invasion of China and even the Pacific War. And that's just the beginning. That's why this book, Tuesday Bay 2, was banned for a long time, because its predictions were believed to affect the fate of entire nations. Whether you believe these ancient prophecies is up to you. You can always dig into the documents yourself. But what really matters now is, what does Tuesday Bay 2 say about the future from 2024 onwards? Here's the prophecy. A black rabbit enters the green dragon's lair. Seeking peace is futile and unspeakable. Only those beyond the border and the scholars will thrive. Then it says, in 30 years, the descendants shall prosper. Let me break this down for you. The black rabbit refers to the year of the black rabbit, 2023, or Kui Mao. In Vietnamese astrology, the rabbit is often represented as a cat, an animal already weak in the food chain. A black rabbit is even weaker. And it's entering the lair of the azure dragon, one of the most powerful symbols in Eastern mythology. It's like a bunny walking straight into a tiger's den. Once in, there's no coming out. So what happens when such a weak creature enters a sacred, fearsome place like the dragon's lair? You want to move forward, but you can't. Even if you try to speak up or act, it's useless. What am I supposed to say to you? Sometimes silence is better than false hope. The meaning is this. As we transition from 2023 to 2024, many people believe things will get better. All the bad news is out, now it's time to grow and rise. But they dream big without the real strength to back it up. You'll find that things you thought were over actually aren't. You keep waiting for closure, but it never comes. And that helplessness starts to spread. The only real path forward is you. You have to expand yourself, your work, your direction. Only then will your children and grandchildren reap the rewards. That might sound vague. But if we view it through the lens of yin-yang and the 5 elements, things get clearer. From 2024 onward, we shift from the earth cycle, though, into the fire cycle, Hoa. In simple terms, the world will be influenced by celestial forces aligned with the fire element. That means industries connected to earth will decline, while fire-related fields will thrive. Take real estate, for example. Many people with limited savings see housing prices drop and rush to buy in. That's the black rabbit entering the dragon's den. They can't afford homes in the heart of the city, so they buy in the outskirts, suburbs, small towns. A lot of young people work a few years, then dream of retiring in the countryside with a cheap house and garden. But as I've said before, people always chase better lives. As populations decline, people will cluster in core cities, the yolk of the egg where resources and opportunities are concentrated. So the outer zones, the egg whites and shell, will see demand dry up. Property values will drop sharply. That's why I always say only major cities hold true long-term value. Over the next 20 years, housing prices won't rise everywhere, they'll rise only in select areas. I believe we'll see a surge in property speculation. In many countries, governments are loosening regulations on central real estate to stimulate the economy. For example, before, you could only buy one home. Yeah? No limit. Taxes used to be high. Yeah? Exemptions or reductions. Loan amounts were small. Yeah? You can borrow a lot more. Add to that the U.S. Federal Reserve's monetary policy adjustments, and it's clear, a wave of short-term real estate speculation is coming. But remember, speculating real estate is fire energy, not earth. Fire is fast, buy fast, sell fast. That's not stable earth, that's aggressive fire. However, the good news only benefits core urban zones, the yolk, not the whole egg. In the past, when prices rose, the city center rose first, followed by the outskirts and beyond. In the future, that ripple effect might disappear completely. So even though fire generates earth and real estate is earth-related, it doesn't mean all property will do well. Not everything is worth buying. Only assets with speculative value, those located in high-demand, prime areas, will hold real opportunity. Also, earth-aligned industries like cooking, interior design, antiques, and traditional real estate should be cautious. 20 years ago, when earth was in power, these industries flourished with just moderate effort. But if you're just starting out in 2025, don't expect easy money. Not anymore. That doesn't mean you can't succeed. But it'll be much harder than before. And if your industry is aligned with water or metal, like beverage sales, swimming instruction, seafood, laundry, music, finance, or civil service, these will struggle even more in the fire cycle of 2025 and beyond. So if you're unsure which element your work belongs to, go check now. It could make all the difference. Don't let yourself become the black rabbit entering the azure dragon's cave, seemingly strong, but actually in great danger. Unless your job can incorporate the element of fire, such as speculation or short-term trading, not long-term investing, like stocks. If you plan to hold a stock for over 10 years in today's unstable world, you could end up losing everything. For example, I once heard someone teach stock investment, called themselves a teacher, telling others to hold Tesla stocks long-term just because Tesla cars have over 600 kilometers range while Porsche only has 300 kilometers. The result? After 8 years, Tesla stock dropped 41%. You invest $10 million and lose over $4 million. So what's the point of holding long-term? But if you know how to ride the price trend, like when Nvidia stock broke the $283 threshold and you bought right at that moment, then in just over half a year, without doing anything, your investment grows 1.5x. That means putting in $10 million and taking out $25 million. So even though stocks belong to the metal element, as long as you speculate, you can still make good profits. However, don't ignore the risks. Many people advise you to hold stocks for 10 years, but 10 years later you won't even find them. They don't bear any responsibility for your loss. Back to fate. 40 years ago, during the metal luck period, banking was thriving. Ordinary people working in banks could easily earn money. But when we transitioned into the earth luck period, banking became difficult. So banks started incorporating earth elements into their business, such as promoting home loans. As real estate surged, banks profited. But now, moving from earth luck to fire luck, if banks want to keep making money, they must include fire elements. This includes speculation, an activity associated with fire, and also digital banking, online banking, which are also fire-related. Therefore, the first thing you need to understand is that starting from 2024, especially 2025, we're entering 20 years of fire luck. On a macro level, war is a fire element, and it usually happens when the weak challenge the strong, like the black rabbit entering the azure dragon's cave. The result? You want to move forward, but you can't speak out. That means political instability will continue. On a personal level, people will become more irritable, prone to conflict. Disputes between individuals will easily escalate. Many will use violence to resolve problems. Remember, the second pitfall of 2025 is the fighting trap. Unless that fight brings you attention and media traffic, it's just a cost, like losing money in a bad investment. I'm serious. People who get beaten up while going for a medical report are already thinking about what car they'll buy with the compensation, at least a Porsche or an Audi. These days, fights aren't fought with fists anymore, they're fought with money. For example, I once helped a small business owner who went bankrupt. I was kind enough to give him a job at my company. Even when he felt inferior, I invited him to company trips and lent him money. But instead of being grateful, when things got tough, he blamed others, lowered morale, and even spoke badly about the leadership behind our backs. A person who knows gratitude but doesn't repay it. Someone like that, I simply let go. No matter how much he provokes me afterward, I won't argue, and definitely won't fight. Why? Outsiders may think I'm weak, but in truth, my time is valuable. If I choose to argue with him, I'm wasting a money-making opportunity. If 1 hour of my time is worth $10,000, then a day is at least $80,000. And someone like him will be taught a lesson by others anyway, so why should I do it myself? If he doesn't repay the money, let the law handle it. I may lose money, but I take it as paying tuition for a valuable lesson, how to judge character. So once I understood that, I was no longer angry. Even if someone hits you, remember, never hit back. Because the moment you retaliate, the nature of the event changes. If they hit you and you hit back, it becomes a mutual fight. And once it's considered a mutual fight, not only will they be punished, but you will too, not worth it. Therefore, besides controlling your temper, maybe learn a few moves to protect your head. Just kidding. What I really mean is, in this kind of environment, there's actually a chance to make money. As we enter this 20-year fire cycle, everyone becomes easily agitated, impulsive, restless, and overwhelmed. Especially now, many young people are becoming numb to materialism. They just want to lie at home, not go out, becoming reclusive men and women. They don't socialize or spend. And ironically, this is the age group with the strongest spending power. Why is this happening? Because they've realized that hard work is meaningless. No matter how hard they try, they can't beat capitalism. They can't outdo the rich second generation who were born with wealth. So they give up and lie flat. And in moments like this, people begin to seek spiritual practice, inner growth, energy, faith, and healing of the mind. That way, people will no longer suffer. In other words, if your job or business is related to the body, spirituality, or has an element of mental or spiritual civilization, it will be easier to make money. I'm not necessarily saying you have to become a psychologist or a meditation coach, but you should add a spiritual element to your current work. It's very simple. For example, today you sell clothes, Japanese-style fashion, or Western outfits, etc. Honestly, even if you stop producing today and all clothing companies on Earth shut down, the existing amount of clothing already produced could still clothe humanity for about 200 years. That's how excessive material goods have become. So if you keep selling clothes, you're playing a game of extreme oversupply. However, a few people know how to sell clothes on a spiritual level. If I were to sell clothes, I wouldn't sell them the same way anymore. I would definitely add fire elements, spiritual elements. In other words, I would repackage the product. For example, you feel irritated, angry, in conflict, being sabotaged by petty people. isolated by colleagues, and have no friends because you haven't awakened yet because you're still stuck in your own illusion. So imagine a bra that has been spiritually activated with blessings and spiritual energy. If you wear it while sleeping or working, you will absorb the energy from it. This piece of clothing won't just help stabilize your inner self and ward off negativity, but it can also be custom designed to match your hair, aura, and energy. From design to color, it can help attract wealth or love depending on your need. Would you want to buy a shirt like that? I'm just giving a playful example. But remember, stop saying your clothes are beautiful, warm, or UV protective. In the next 20 years, what needs solving isn't material needs but spiritual needs. Another example is the famous Leaf Village dance at Haidaleo. Do you know why a brand that only sells hot pot like Haidaleo could expand from China to the world and even go public on the stock exchange? Of course, hot pot belongs to the fire element. But if you really want authentic hot pot, you wouldn't think of Haidaleo. You'd go to Chongqing and easily find places that serve it even better. So why did Haidaleo succeed? Because they don't just sell hot pot, they sell spiritual culture. They make you feel respected. You can drink as much as you like. Eat fruit freely. If you eat shrimp, someone peels it for you. You can get your nails done and watch performances. Even for birthdays, someone celebrates with you. All these are free of charge. But there's still a team that serves you with dedication. So what they sell isn't just food, but a feeling, an experience, a place that makes you feel relaxed and cared for. Understand? So today, when we talk about entering a fire luck period, it doesn't mean if you're selling gold, you need to shut your store. Not at all. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it as long as you love it and it fits your strengths, keep going. You just need to add fire elements. Something traditional, something that spreads, something cultural or spiritual, or something that can be hyped and turned into a trend. Next, the third important factor is the group of middle-aged women. To be precise, fire luck is related to the trigram Li, which symbolizes middle-aged women from 25 to 55 years old. You'll be surprised that in the next 20 years, women will gradually surpass men. In the past, men were the pillars of the family because they had strength, logical thinking, and could provide for the family. But have you noticed? In the last 5 years, the easiest money-making industries have been dominated by women. For example, being KOLs, live streaming, making videos, even the top salespeople or national-level negotiators are mostly women. In other words, in the future, we men should not only love our wives and cling to them tightly, but also target women as our main business customers, because they will be the strongest consumer group over the next 20 years. It's simple. Say you open a fitness class. In the past, anyone could sign up, pay, and be taught. But now, I only teach middle-aged women because they need to stay in shape for live streaming, or they're female leaders who sit in the office a lot and gain weight easily. So I focus only on this customer segment for training. When their spending power is higher and I specialize in serving this group, if they want to get fit, they'll choose me first. Because I understand and suit them better than any other trainer. I'm more professional, so my services and fees can also be higher. Even when hiring staff for my company, I prioritize women aged 25 to 55 because they are more likely to succeed. I want to ride their luck. The fourth element concerns industries with anonymity and virtual aspects. For example, you used to sell insurance, houses, cars, or tours, but you were passive, waiting for customers, relying on referrals, or your company assigning leads. But have you noticed that now customers are becoming fewer? Even if you meet them, they don't close the deal. Why? It's because customers today are no longer out there in the real world. And even if you meet them offline, they don't trust you because you have no reputation, no brand. But have you thought about this? YouTube has about 2.5 billion users. If each person gave you just $1 for your product or service, you'd make $2.5 billion overnight. And even if you're not that popular with just 10,000 followers. If you open a restaurant and each person gives you 100 units of profit, you still earn $1 million. Any industry can incorporate self-media and virtual elements. More importantly, you have to think about how to make money from day one, how to turn it into profit. So, is it that poor people aren't hardworking? Sometimes, poor people work even harder than the rich. Every era has its opportunities, we just have to keep evolving. In this fire luck period, even if you're not in a fire-related industry, you must still add fire elements. First is virality, trends, and hype. Second is cultural and spiritual value. Third is the middle-aged female segment. Fourth is personal media and the internet. Of course, some will say, can we really believe all this? Isn't this just superstition? Let me ask you, has any billionaire ever built a 5-star hotel, a commercial tower, or even rented a space without consulting a feng shui master? I don't know if you believe it, but Li Ka-shing believes, Jack Ma believes, even foreign entrepreneurs believe. So why shouldn't I? Honestly, I didn't believe before, but I realized something. Those who don't have money are usually the ones who don't believe. And I want to be rich, so I started to believe. I don't know if it really works or not, but I believe. And since I believed, I haven't lost anything. In fact, I've had more and more abundance. I only believe in results, and the result is that my fate has changed in unimaginable ways. Since time is limited, I'll stop the video here. I share free knowledge about becoming wealthy, an entrepreneur, investor, and achieving financial freedom. If you don't want to miss out, follow my channel, turn on the notification bell, and share this video widely. I sincerely wish everyone who liked this video will soon achieve financial freedom. If today's video gave you even 1 or 2 useful insights to live a better life, then I'm already satisfied.